Right, on to the next topic. So this is where we get to focus on a Premier League player. And for this one, it was going to be a start bench sell, but I thought we'll just talk about Declan Rice because Declan Rice is a powerhouse at the moment for Arsenal. He scored recently against West Ham away in 6-0 victory at the Olympic Stadium as well, which is great to see.
Hammered them.
He hammered them. Declan Rice hammered West Ham and he hammered David Moyes. Sarah is losing her mind at that. It's a proper
No,
dad joke
it's
that
so embarrassing.
it
That
was a
was
proper
so.
dad joke. It was a proper dad joke that you had there, which is crazy. But
Oh,
Declan
that was
Rice hammered that goal against Arsenal, which is great to see. There are a lot of people now saying how Declan Rice is considered one of the best centre defensive midfielders in the world. Arsenal fans are saying he is the best centre defensive midfielder in the world. But for me personally, I wanted to know from both your perspective, Luca, and your Sarah, do you see Declan Rice as being the out and out best defensive midfielder in the world when you've got Rodri, you've got Kimmich, you've got Tchouaméni, you've got quite a lot of good defensive midfielders across European football right now. Is he out and out for you, Luca? And he's out for you. Is he out and out the best defensive midfielder in the world for you, Sarah? So, Luca, we'll start with you. What do you think about Declan Rice?
It's always difficult to speak about absolutes, the best, because as I said, a player is perfect in a system. I feel for Arsenal, he's a perfect player because he can carry the ball. He's a perfect box to box. He's modern. He has vision. He can score goals. So yeah, great player. He would have been also great at Man City. He's one of the most versatile, to be honest, center defensive midfielders in the world. Because he's probably also the most offensive one. If you speak about Tchouaméni, that has been adapted as a center back, Rodri that can also play there. He has played there some matches in his career, and he's a very dynamic player. I love him personally because he's physical, he's imponent, he's powerful. So great player, and those are the players that you dream of seeing in the Serie A, but it's impossible, you know. So it's something that we cannot afford. We can afford
You've
to
got Ruben
create some of
Loftus-Cheek. You've
those
got Ruben
players. We can
Loftus-Cheek, so
scout
it's
them
okay.
from Denmark. Sorry?
You've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, so it's not too bad. You've still got a
No,
couple
no,
of English
great
players.
player. Absolutely. I love watching him.
Nah, it's good with Declan Rice because before we got into Sarah's point of view as well, like a lot of people are saying that he's following the roots of Yaya Toure as well because he's now becoming a box-to-box centre midfielder who did play at centre back once upon a time in his career, and he's now looking like he's dominating midfield every single game, which is crazy to think about. But Sarah, being a Spanish fan as well, would you say Rodri is still a class above Declan Rice, or would you say Declan Rice is looking to basically just pip him in terms of being the out-and-out best defensive midfielder in the world?
Yeah, I think it has to be Rodri still. Come on, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I agree with
I
what Lucas
agree.
said in the sense of Declan Rice being such a good fit for Arsenal. So I think that's really playing into getting the best out of him as well, right? Like they go hand in hand. So I think it's been an excellent fit. Let's see how it keeps going down the road, though. I also think we're so quick to jump on players, right away and say, okay, like, is this the best? Are they the best now? Like, he's still warming up with Arsenal, which is kind of scary because he's playing brilliantly, but it's his first season there, right? So let that kind of marinate for a bit. Let's see how that keeps going. But for me, Rodri is different. Like, he's so similar to me that like what Sergio Busquets was. And to me, this is like a level above that. Like these kind of like Rodri Busi compared to a player like Declan Rice. Like when you have the ability to what seems like slow down a game by stopping the clock with the way you play, like Rodri emulates that, right? So I think that's just it's special. It's not very common. And that's what makes these guys kind of a little bit above all the rest, in my opinion.
La pausa.
Would you say Rodri's world class?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Absolutely.
Yes,
There's no.
Yeah.
why wouldn't he be?
That's fine
So
because a lot of people are saying Declan Rice is world class. I'm thinking with a lot of people in England, from my point of view, like literally, he's been doing this since 2018, 2019 for West Ham United. So he's been absolutely phenomenal for West Ham and a team that hasn't been shining for a good number of years until last season when they won the Europa Conference League and he finally got his time in the sun. He was fantastic for England at the World Cup. He was amazing at the European Championship. So from an English point of view, he's been fantastic for 5, 6 years now. But because he's at Arsenal, he's now getting that European and that worldwide recognition a lot because he's at the bigger clubs, respectively. You're seeing him play week in, week out in the bigger games, which is great to see from a point of view from Declan Rice. But everyone's still thinking, yeah, it's not so much world class yet. But I think this season in the Champions League, they've got a tough tie against Porto, which they may struggle against, in my opinion, as well. But we will see him becoming a better player as this title race goes on in England, which will be a great conversation to be having out further down the season as well. But thank you very much for your input on Declan Rice, and thank you, Gorinda, for suggesting it, our very favorite social media graphic designer, which is great.